Day one of the DC Paradise Jam, presented by the U.S. Virgin Islands, wraps up with a storied Cinderella versus one playing the role today. It's George Mason versus D2 Power Queens University of Charlotte. Howdy Hoops fans, Jeremy Huber here with Chris Nockey. An interesting game today, Chris. Mason would seemingly be the favorite, but not a lot of time to prepare for a really good team in Queens.
Yeah, and props to Queens for stepping into the breach after Northeastern decided not to show up to the tournament. It was certainly their prerogative, their call. Queens comes in here with absolutely nothing to lose. They're going to let it fly. They're going to take their shots. And it's a team that shoots a lot of threes just by their very nature. Mason, on the other hand, this is kind of a directional season for them. Dave Paulson is 82-82 in his time at George Mason, and you just feel like something's got to give. You know, perhaps they turn the corner with a season like this.
Let's get you up to date on this Queens squad with our players to watch. We start off with Kenny Dye.
Kenny Dye, all-league player, just a good basketball player. He's got good size to his game, as a power point guard, and much is expected and much is needed from him. Then one of their better players, Jamari Smith, unlikely to play here this weekend. So a guy like Dye really has to carry a lot of the burden here.
Dye all-conference in the SAC. Now to a guy I'm sure you're going to like in Gavin Raines.
Yeah, finishes with both hands, kind of a blood and guts type player. Does not back down around the basket. Not the greatest athlete in the world, but makes up for that by playing extremely hard. And he probably got voted most likely to be on the floor after a loose ball.
Let's look at George Mason and their players to watch today, and a couple of good ones. We start with A.J. Wilson.
Yeah, leading rebounder coming back. Is coming off of a very good year. You just feel like, again, much like this Mason team, this is the best team that Dave Paulson has had. A.J. Wilson's going to have to be a big part of that step forward.
All defensive team type player. Javon Green, our other player to watch.
Boy, when he's good, Javon Green is very good. He can score points in a hurry, inside and out. Quick, he's a lefty, as we see right here, which makes him a little bit more difficult to stop. He's a talented offensive player.
Let's look at our keys to the game. We start off with Queens, Chris.
Well, they believe in analytics, and they're going to trust in those. And as a result, they believe the three counts a heck of a lot more than the two. They're going to let it fly. They're just going to have to rebound as a team against a much bigger Mason squad.
Now to George Mason, their keys.
Yeah, conversely, they want to get the ball inside, pound it inside, protect the basketball. That has been the issue for them the last couple of years, the turnovers. And you want to make sure you're winning the 50-50 balls and dominating the backboards.
And, of course, those keys to the game brought to you by Mountain Dew. Now let's take a look at our starting lineups in this one. We start off with Queens. The Royals ranked 10th in Division II coming into the season. Told you about our players to watch. One guy to look out for, Keelan Penny, transfer from Panola College. They're really excited about him.
Yeah, they are excited. And, they're really, just like pretty much everybody here in this tournament, with the exception of George Mason, they're trying to incorporate some new faces and some new guys. Keelan Penny, one of those guys. Malcolm Stevenson as well. Junior college transfers, and they need to step into the breach today right away.
As for George Mason, their starting five, it does not include Javon Green. Of course, their standout player not in the starting lineup today. I have not heard anything. He was in pregame warmups, so assuming he'll see a lot of time.
You know what? It could be something as simple as the fact that they see him as a prototypical sixth man. He could be a great player off the bench. Everybody wants to start. They've got some options, and the five guys that they are starting are guys who are returners. They've certified themselves, and they can play in the A-10.
Yeah, Miller, a good one. Josh Adora, another local product, went to prestigious Paul VI High School, played there as well. So, again, some good players in that team, and a team that you had mentioned is looking to really kind of take that next step under Dave Paulson. Of course, Queens, they're Queens University of Charlotte. There is a Division II school named Queens College in New York. It is not them. These guys are a very good program.
Well, those of us associated with this tournament are forever indebted to Queens University for stepping in at the last minute. And they get something out of this, Jeremy. This is a D2 program that gets 3 D1 games and 3 games on national TV. So it serves them well, and I hope they come in here and play well.
We talked about that with Bart Lundy, their head coach. They actually, in back-to-back years, knocked off VCU by 2, lost to Wake Forest by 2. After that, that old D1 well dried up a little bit.
It's funny how people won't return your calls once the book is out on you from a scheduling perspective.
Bart Lundy, the head coach, in his 8th season this time around, actually had 13 total seasons as he coached there, got the job at age 25.
Well, he seems to be really comfortable, not only in his own skin, but also in that position. He has spent some time on D1 sidelines and seems very, very happy to be where he is right now.
He was an assistant under Buzz Williams at Marquette, and then also was the head coach at High Point.
Yep.
As for George Mason, they're led by Dave Paulson, their head coach, who had tremendous success up at Bucknell.
Had success at Bucknell, and he's had some good runs at Mason. They just never have been able to sustain it. Last year, during the non-conference schedule, they were terrific, and then they got to just after Christmas, and between an injury to their best player, Justin Kier, and a illness to Jamal Hartwell, really derailed them in a very difficult conference. I mean, your margin for error in the A-10 is next to nothing, and when you lose 2 talented guys like that, sometimes it's too much, and it was last year for Mason.
Upcoming schedules for these 2 teams, of course, playing again tomorrow in the Paradise Jam. It's a big one for Mason tomorrow as they take on Belmont. Of course, Queens will take on Howard, and maybe, really good opportunities for both teams. Mason to test themselves, Queens against the Howard team still finding themselves.
Yeah, I think both those games will be fascinating. And I think that the Mason-Belmont game, probably the marquee game now of this event. And it should be fun to watch. I mean, Belmont was pretty much flawless, especially offensively in their win against Howard. And Mason's certainly capable. It's a rugged, talented, athletic squad.
There's Dave Paulson. Again, a lot of success at Bucknell. Mike Muscala, standout post player, ended up time with the Atlanta Hawks, a few other squads in his 6th season, looking to make that jump into the upper echelon of the A-10 as he spent so much time in the top half of the Patriot League.
Yep, and a lot is expected in Fairfax. They expect to be good. Obviously, they've got a Final Four on their resume. 2006, ultimate Cinderella.
Queens wins the tap, and we are underway. Again, this is a highly thought-of team in Division II, testing themselves against a D1 squad. Again, they have done this a lot in the past history. Let's see what they can do today. On the drive, nothing there. Stevenson kicks it out. Dive for 3 off the mark. Rebound, fought for, pulled back in, shot up and shot good by Turner.
Well, we saw that in the first game, that anytime somebody got a second shot opportunity, invariably they scored. And